Albert AWOL, the voice of the jungle, broadcasting on the DVC to all points unknown. If you're within the sound of my voice, you're listening to Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
Hello and welcome home. This episode of Welcome Home is brought to you by DVC Rental Store. Thank you for joining us on episode 311 of Welcome Home, a Disney Parks and Vacation Club podcast. I'm Tom. I'm here with Trevor. How's it going, Trevor?
Hey, pretty good. How are you?
I'm good. I spent another day at Carowinds yesterday in 93-degree heat.
The saga continues.
Okay, it's
yeah, okay.
But here's the thing, though, right?
Wait,
So, like,
hold on. Do we need to start the section with things that I wish Carowinds had that I find at Disney? Or
no? Okay, so
Yeah.
part of the reason we did the season pass, right? First of all, it was fairly cheap, right?
Yeah.
But also, we live like a half hour away, right? So like we were thinking, okay, well on the weekends, like if we just don't have anything to do in an afternoon, we'll just pop in for a couple hours, right? Like,
Totally.
just go for a couple hours, ride some stuff, and leave, right? And so that's what the plan was yesterday. So like we didn't like eat or anything. I take that back. We did eat some stuff, right? Like I was actually really pumped for a few minutes because I was like, okay, we bought a couple things, but we're under $20. Like we're running under $20 so far today. And then my wife's like, oh, I want some Annie Ann pretzels. And I'm like, okay, well, that's going to put me way over $20. But outside of that, like we didn't have any meals or anything. We just had like, just snacky stuff. Yeah. And, just did a couple things. It was so hot. But the thing I wanted to bring this up about this, two things. Okay. Two things about my recent trip to Carowinds. They have a ride that is it's a flat ride, right? And it's an out of the box. It's off it's off the shelf ride. It's not like it's not like they created it, right? But it's like Dumbo, right? So it's a spinning flat ride. And except the difference is that it's in the aeronautical section of the park, and so they themed it to a hang glider, right? And so the way you make yourself go, you basically sit in like a hang glider, and the way you make yourself go up and down is by pushing the bar of the hang glider. It has the hang glider above your head. What struck me though, as I was riding this with my daughter, was like straight up ripped off the Soarin' music. Like,
really?
Yeah, they just got it's almost like they put Soarin', the music from Soarin', into like an AI and just like make a version of this that was not going to get us sued. And then even at the end, they had an automated message that said, "Thank you for soaring with us." And I was like, "Get out of here!" Like you're just gonna just throw that out there like that. But yeah, that made me laugh. So yeah. The other one also made me laugh too, because Trevor, and I think you're similar to me in this regard, that I am a little bit of a nerd when it comes to just amusement parks. I love amusement parks. I just do. And I love the history behind amusement parks. And I find the history behind amusement parks fascinating. So I went on a little Wikipedia rabbit hole the other day, right, of Carowinds, which has been owned by like 10 different companies over the years. Well, there was a time, there's a roller coaster, Trevor, at Carowinds called the Hurler. Right? I always thought it was a weird.
Wait, they actually called the roller coaster's called the Hurler?
Yes, it's a roller coaster called the Hurler.
I'm surprised it wasn't a spinning ride, but okay.
No. Okay, but
that sounds like something out of an 80s movie.
That's where I'm going.
Okay. All right. Okay, sorry, I got ahead of you. Sorry.
No, it's okay. So I find out, I'm just looking through all the different owners of Carowinds, and I find out that back in 1993, there was a Wayne's World themed section of Carowinds,
nice,
which included this roller coaster called the Hurler. Yeah. And I just was like, that's amazing, but also so weird. Like, why would there
not at the time?
Not at the time.
I mean, no. Wayne's World was a phenomenon, so you have to look at point in time as well. So, yeah.
Just like a Wayne's World theme park, like, I mean, so it makes more sense why it's called the Hurler, right? Because those of you that haven't seen Wayne's World, they use the term hurl a lot.
I thought they used blow chunks more than hurl.
They did both, but they did both.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, they did both. But yeah, I just thought it was funny because I was like, a Wayne's World themed section of the park. And they, at the time, they claimed it was the first movie themed wooden roller coaster in the United States, which, probably checks out. Like Disney doesn't do wooden roller coasters, so sure, But anyway, I just thought that was two interesting things, but also, some people might call it incredibly stupid to go to a amusement park when it's 93 degrees out and humid, but
I mean, I think we've all done that, and to be fair, like the reason that we know not to do that is because we have experienced it.
Sure. That's true.
Yeah. We've all done it at some point.
That's the other thing, though. I said to my wife, I was like, listen, we used to do Disney in July, man. Like, this is nothing. Like, we can do this, But then again, we didn't do Disney in July with my daughter, right? Like, so that's a whole different.
Yeah. It does. So. That does change it when you have little kids in tow, for sure.
It does. Yeah. But listen, we had a good time. We had a lot of fun. And I just, it's always a good time. I have nothing to complain about this time. Nothing to complain about. I do want to do their water park though too at some point. So like I'll have a water park take at some point, but we haven't done the water park yet.
Okay. I'm trying on the side here to watch a video of the ride is called the Windstar. I assume that you were talking about.
Yes.
So I'm trying to hear the music, but it's hard.
It,
it's hard in the video.
It's not all the music though. It was just one part of the music, right? So they played other stuff, right? Like they played like Rocket Man by Elton John at one point, right?
Okay.
But,
I guess that's the thing to remember too. Is we always look at like Disney has like a lock on certain things and you assume like, oh, this is a Disney thing, but Disney things very much do get emulated at smaller parks where basically until they get like a copyright strike on them or something where a cease and desist, smaller places will push it. They will try and emulate the bigger parks because it does draw people to it, right? You get Disney at home because not everyone goes to Disney. A bit of an aside was so in Alberta we have this mall called West Edmonton Mall that is similar to like Mall of America.
Yeah,
where it's got like a theme park and water park and stuff in it. Back in the 80s and 90s, the theme park there, the indoor theme park was named Fantasyland. And so, yeah, you can imagine that, that got a bunch of hype. People loved it. And, everyone wanted to go to Fantasyland. And then it was either in the mid to late 90s or early 2000s, they had to change the name and rebrand the whole thing because Disney did finally come after them. and they changed it to Galaxyland. But the funny thing, though, is that they still have the Fantasyland Hotel.
That's funny.
So because Fantasyland Hotel is not a Disney trademarked thing, Fantasyland is. So it's a weird thing. So I always laugh when we see ads for it and they're like, you can stay at the Fantasyland Hotel, and they have themed rooms and stuff too, which is it's all part of the it's an attraction in and of itself. And but I always found it funny, like back in the 90s I didn't understand it either. I was like, wow, they call this place Fantasyland just like Disney. Is Disney okay with that? No, they're not. Yeah, they just don't get around to it right away. So
it's not illegal unless you get caught, right? That's
yeah. And I feel like Carowinds is like same kind of thing. Is they're pushing the envelope. They know they can kind of twist things to hey, this is Disney-esque without actually saying it's Disney. And I'm sure like this one is far enough removed that Disney wouldn't have anything to really say to them besides this you have gliders and some music that kind of sounds like Soarin', but it's not really enough, right?
I mean, if you look into the history, like kind of what you're talking about, if you look in the history of just theme parks in general, right? Like after Disneyland was built and became popular, it got emulated everywhere, right? Yes. Like there were places popping up all over the place that tried to do what Disney was doing, right? Like I think the problem is, right, like you can do that. Number one, you can try to do that, right? But it takes a lot of money and experience and people to do that. And so while you can do it, it's not an easy thing to do. But also if you don't have the IP, if you're just, the IP is part of it. I mean, it is a big part of Disney and Disney success. I mean, that's important stuff. So it's funny. One of those was called Freedom Land USA, which Defunct Land does a really great video on, where some of the people that worked on Disneyland went to New York as in like, New York, and tried to kind of basically build the Disneyland there. So like, I mean, it's that kind of stuff happened, and I mean, it still happens, right? I mean, like Disney and Universal copy each other back and forth, like it's stuff that they do. I mean, it's they're always trying to one up each other, and they are, they take little things from each other here and there, right? I mean, that's what you do. But it's it is funny to me though. I mean, even Carowinds, right? Carowinds had a monorail when it opened in the early 70s, right? Because there was like that was the thing, man. Everyone
it was
got
common enough, and that's fair. And actually, even like for us too, it's still there. As we the Skyliner, so in Magic Kingdom, how you had the Skyliner going through Magic Kingdom. We have something like that at the Calgary Stampede, where they have it's just like a gondola ride. It's the same kind of thing, but it's funny because it's like you don't expect to see that, I guess, at so the Stampede is very close to it's like they bring in like carnival rides and stuff, so it's not like a proper theme park. It's only a carnival during the Stampede event, which is actually coming up here in a couple of weeks. So the funny thing is that like, when I was a kid, it was the same kind of thing where it was like, oh, I saw this in Disneyland, and then, you go to something local and it's like, wow, they got the same thing. And you don't, as a kid, you don't think about how one probably copied the other, or like how these things all kind of come to be, right? Like you said, it's a lot of interesting history. And I'll leave this one out here for you. If you really want to go down a crazy rabbit hole of Disney emulating parks, in Japan, there was a place called Nara Dreamland, and it is the biggest. It is like the most clearly ripped off Disneyland. It's closed now because they again, history of it. I think it closed down like early 2000s or something. But if you really want to go down a rabbit hole of like somebody just like ripping off Disney, Nara Dreamland was that.
I mean, I think people forget sometimes too that Disneyland operated the very first monorail, daily operating monorail in the world. Like they were way ahead of this, right? Like there were other monorails out there, like in other countries, but in the United States, it basically just got introduced because of Disneyland, right? Like, and that's it is real. I mean, there's obviously it was Disney. Walt Disney himself saw it when he was in Germany, and that's where he kind of got the idea. But it they really popularized it here. So I mean, and of course, so a bunch of people are going to steal it. Why not? People try to do whatever's popular and try to capture that moment. But I just had to laugh because I was like, why would they have a monorail there? Like, there's no need for a monorail at Carowinds. Like, they went around the park, and at one station, it was a ride.
I mean that's the thing, is a lot of times that's exactly what it is. It's just a ride. It just so happens like Disney was the weird one in that the monorail actually was functional,
was transportation,
and even the train as well. I can't think of a lot of places, there's one place I know of outside of Disney, and this isn't to say I've been to a ton of places, but there's a historical park in Calgary where I live that it's called Heritage Park. I know that the name is so original, but they have a functioning steam train like from the early 1900s, but it's a historical thing, but it actually does do like a route around the park, and it has multiple stops. So the same way that it does at Disney, where it's like, hey, I can use this to get around the park quickly, or I shouldn't say quickly. It's not fast.
It's not fast.
but I can get around, relatively easy. That's not as common as you think it should be. Like you're like, it makes sense to do that, but you're right. Outside of Disney, a lot of places don't do that, and they'll put in a train or something, but it's usually just, like you said, it's just a ride. It's not a functioning train, which
exactly.
It's kind of weird.
Exactly. So I want to read this email from Claire.
Yes.
Claire sent us an email. Claire from Massachusetts. Sent us an email and said, "Hey guys, been listening to your podcast since becoming a DVC owner. Appreciate all your refreshing insights. I just caught up on the episodes and is a little late to the Piston Peak discussion, but here's my hot take. By the way, I don't think you're late, Claire, because like all the stuff is like starting to close soon here, right?
Yeah,
so, like,
we're very much still in the early phase. You're not late.
No, you're definitely not late. Not at all. But her hot take is, I was a little sad with the news of Rivers of America going away after July 4th weekend, but the new cartoon rendering came out showing what will be reimagined on the spot, and the completionist in me couldn't help feeling pepped for the future. I agree with that. Here's the part that I thought was really interesting at our point, and I've never thought about this ever. Respectively, Adventureland, Main Street USA, and Tomorrowland has each got a resort counterpart dotted around Seven Seas Lagoon. Now, I had to think about this for a few minutes, right? Because I was like, okay, well, I mean, is she right about this? Adventureland,
that
I
makes
guess.
Sense.
Yeah, is Polynesian. Main Street USA is, I guess, Grand Floridian, right?
It's the same aesthetic for sure.
Yeah, and Tomorrowland would be contemporary, right?
Yeah.
And then she says here, now finally Wilderness Lodge will have its Pacific Northwest vibe showcased by Piston Peak National Park. She said, I agree with you.
I think she says, I agree with you. It's almost like bringing DCA's Grizzly Peak and the Grand Californian to the East Coast, which I think she's referring to what I was saying about, I see how they're bringing that same vibe from that area of the park in California
Got it. Okay, got it. But what she says next is, now if a villain's land is coming, logic dictates and a villain-themed resort should follow suit, which would be bonkers exciting. Ooh. I mean, that would be amazing.
wait a second.
That's a whole wait list right there.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Is it just coincidental?
After going to Darkmoor and Epic Universe, there is so much they could do, and it could be so cool.
Yeah,
for a villain's land. Like, because I've seen, like, it's something like it exists now is the thing, and that's, I get where she's going with this. Is, that's a very interesting thing to think about, but not just the land, but hey, could there be a resort that follows that? That is interesting.
I mean, do you think it's coincidental that I've never associated the individual lands with the specific hotels around Seven Seas Lagoon? It just never has occurred to me. And I don't know. Is it coincidental? Is it a purposeful? Like, because I've never heard anyone say that they did that on purpose, right?
I don't know if it's that they did it on purpose, but it definitely, I mean, I can see where Disney, or like Disney as a company, would have been looking at it from potentially that angle, because it does go back to, how Disney does synergize on different fronts of their, movies, parks, all that kind of stuff. It does kind of make sense that at the initial design of Disney World, that they would have been thinking of how to hook in those things, because it becomes an easy overlap. Like the Polynesian, honestly, I know this because I've spent way too much time listening and paying attention to these things. The music at the Polynesian does get overlapped in other parks, in Adventureland and other places, where, like, anywhere that they need a Hawaiian or Polynesian theme song, you hear the same stuff you hear at the Polynesian resort. So is it far-fetched to say that, the actual concept of the resort was they started from Adventureland and went, okay, well, what would an Adventureland resort look like? I mean, I don't think it's that far-fetched to say that they weren't thinking about it. The problem is, we would have to go and talk to some Imagineers that were involved in building this stuff back in, the late 60s and whatnot. And I guess there may be some interviews out there, but I don't think anyone's ever asked that level of question. Right?
Yeah. It's a good point. A villain's hotel, though, would be very cool. I don't even know exactly what you would do. Like, because
gothic. Like, just
you just make it like super gothic.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you go to, I know I'm beating the dead horse here, but it's Darkmoor, it's Dark Universe. It makes sense if you've been there. It's so the gothic theme works so well as it's easy theming. Honestly, at the end of the day,
just creepy.
It's creepy, but you can do it at different levels so that it doesn't, obviously that, they want to be mindful of not necessarily scaring the kids, but
that's the problem, right? That's the problem.
but you can still make, because the thing is that they do that throughout the park, and it doesn't, like, people aren't as fazed by it as you think they are.
Yeah.
But
my daughter would be.
Yeah. Again, it depends on how they do it, right?
Yeah, it does.
So
right.
I like that though. I really like that take on it. That's a cool way to think of how the resorts tie into the potential lands.
And she also says, anyway, thanks for the entertaining and informative podcast you guys put out for all of us, and counting the days until the next welcome home visit. So yeah, you're welcome. Thanks, Claire, for writing it. I appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I realized after I put this on the rundown, Trevor, that you're going to be salty about this.
About what?
The next one.
No, I'm not salty.
Don't you not get Disney? You don't get the Disney files, though,
no,
right?
I do get Disney files.
Oh, I thought they didn't send it to you guys anymore.
Oh no, they do. It wasn't coming for a little while, and I think it may have been because of COVID. But I have been getting them for the last year or so. So yes, my magnet is on my fridge. Thank you.
Oh, you already got it? See, I don't. Maybe I just haven't checked my mail in a while. I don't know, but
I got mine first.
You did. You got yours in Canada before me. Yeah. Well, see, I thought this was one of those things that you maybe weren't getting in Canada, but essentially, there's so this is not that big of news, but it's always, nice to talk about some DVC thing with the new Disney Files magazine that us DVC members get. We get a fun new magnet. I like that they do this stuff. I'm always a big fan of free stuff, but I like, I have quite a collection of DVC magnets on my fridge.
Oh, me too. Yeah. I've got all my annual pass holder magnets that I had from years past, and DVC magnets and all that. Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah.
So this is, it's just Mickey and Minnie hanging out on a beach. I actually like the way it's drawn too. It's kind of a fun way that it's drawn. I almost feel like it's like my daughter drew it, but like,
like a sketch, like a kid's sketch of Mickey and Minnie, right?
Yeah, it's fun. I like it. That was a quick story because I just wanted to get into Test Track now.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right, so listen, if you are spoiler averse, and Trevor, I assume you watched the video, even though I know you were usually spoiler averse, but
I did, and my logic for it. So yes, you're right. Usually I would avoid spoilers. I gave this one a pass because I've ridden Test Track enough times that there's nothing functionally surprising about the track. It's all changes to the aesthetic of it and whatnot. And
correct.
And it's probably going to be another year or so before I'm back there. So it's like I'll get to see it. Yeah, I'll get to see it when I see it. But I feel because this is the third iteration of the same ride and it's not like a redo of it, that I'm not breaking my rule too bad.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. So listen, if you are spoiler averse though, skip. Okay, I don't know how long we're going to talk about this for, but just, keep skipping it till you hear us stop talking about Test Track, because we don't want to ruin anything for you.
Test Track 3.0.
Test Track 3.0. So first of all, I want to start off here. I was very wrong about where the LiDAR scene
Yep, you were.
So wrong. That it's literally like the first scene.
It is, yes. Yeah. But even before we get to that first scene, do you know what the biggest thing was that stood out to me at the beginning of that video?
What?
The fact that there is the window open to viewing of the queue when you're on the ride.
So I said, it's funny you said that, because I was watching the video and I said to my wife, because it's been a while since I've been on Test Track, just because my daughter doesn't go on. So usually, we'll swap, right? But if we don't have time for it, I can take it or leave it. It's whatever, right? So I haven't been on in a while, but as we were watching it, I'm like, has that window always been there? Was it there before? And they had it covered, or was it there and I just forgot about it? I couldn't remember it being there.
That's actually a good point. I don't remember if it was there in version 1.0, but it was not there in 2.0.
Okay. So maybe they just covered it? I don't know.
Well, here, I'll answer this question as we're sitting here, because we could, thanks to the magic of the internet, I can check a historical video of 1.0 and
see.
Yeah, and see.
Actually, I was telling you before we started the show here that I believe it was Attractions Magazine has a video out on YouTube, just a plug for this, of all three versions of Test Track synced up together,
side by side.
Yeah, which was pretty cool to watch, actually. How things have changed, but are different. But I was also wrong completely about the storyline of this whole thing, which is fine. I really don't care about being wrong about these things. It's fine. But So, just a couple interesting things. First of all, Trevor, I like what they did. Listen, it's test track. It's going to be, high speed and fun and whatever. But I mean, I think you could make the argument that they put the most amount of stuff in this one. You know what I mean? Like,
I agree with you. Yeah.
Right. Cause like the original was, even though everyone loves the original, it was still kind of sparse, right? Like they had like all the stuff around the testing facilities and stuff like that. This, they build like full on buildings in it.
I mean, I give the first one a pass because it was emulating a testing facility, which is, they're usually very sparse and
by its nature.
Whatnot. Yeah. So that gave it a pass. The second version didn't. This one, yeah, you're right. There's a lot more going on in the ride for sure.
I have to say that first scene we were talking about that they showed a preview was, I think it's a pretty impressive scene. I always judge these things. My daughter loves watching ride videos from Disney, right? And so we were watching it, and she sees the building, right? And if you watch a video of this, you can see the building, and then it literally disappears like in front of you and turns into a bunch of like little dots, because the idea is that you're seeing what the car sees, right? You're seeing what the sensors,
the LiDAR scanner.
Yeah. And my daughter looks at me and she goes, how did the building just disappear? And I was like, magic, kid, magic.
Yep. Don't question the Disney magic.
Exactly. So, but like, that's a good indication to me, like and for me, it was cool too. I mean, like, listen, it's not the most advanced effect in the world, but it's very effective. It looks great. Mm-hmm. I like that they added in, and I'm sure they're fake trees and stuff, but the trees that they added in, like where they kind of, and the music where it's almost like chill, like you're taking like a ride through like the mountains or something. And, there's trees all around you and stuff like that's really neat as well. But I think, the coolest parts to me, although I think there's a missed opportunity here, Trevor, I will say. So one of the parts that they go to, the car is going by windows, and they overlay different car designs onto the car, right? Yeah. And I was looking at this and I was like, wait a second. Did they keep the pre-show where you design the car, and then they're putting the car you designed on like as an overlay on the car? The answer is no, because they got rid of that whole build a car thing.
Design a car thing, yeah.
That to me is a missed opportunity, because one of the big complaints about 2.0 was that, okay, you can build this car, but then it means nothing afterwards. You know what I mean?
It was just a picture on the screen and didn't,
it meant nothing. Yeah. And like they did, the effect that they do here is pretty cool. It's like, it's the same thing that you get from like the end of Haunted Mansion, where the ghosts are doing the stuff. Like it's that same, I'm sure it's like similar technology.
It's the same thing they actually used in Radiator Springs Racers as well for actually giving you the white wall tires or giving you a paint job.
Yeah.
It's like you said, none of this is new technology, but they're taking things that they know how to do and they're repurposing them and making it effective.
Yeah.
In a ride like this. And yeah, you're right. It is a missed opportunity. I didn't look too closely at the designs because they show a couple of different designs of the cars.
They kind of look like the designs you could make in the eSIM.
Yeah, I feel like some of those were callbacks to the 2.0, which is fine. But I can also see why they didn't want to keep doing it, because to be fair, the thing about the 2.0 design was that it slowed the throughput of the ride down quite a lot, if you think about it, because they had to, like, you were queuing people through the design thing, and it was cumbersome at the end of the day. Like we noticed it because we, like, whenever we did standby, standby took a while, but like just getting past that part where if you had a fast pass, they skip you past, like you don't do the design, you just. Or maybe, or no, I think you did, but it was like one per group kind of thing. Like it was much quicker is what I found. Like when they did the fast pass, because traditionally that's what happens in a fast pass queue. But overall, I know you're saying it's a missed opportunity. I actually think it was smart of them to remove it entirely, because it was unnecessary.
I get what you're saying. I'm just thinking to myself how cool it would have been if you did design that ridiculous looking car, and then when you were on the ride, they actually overlaid it on the car you were in. Like, that would have been really cool.
Actually what could be a way to implement it is, I'm thinking about, so they did this at DCA, and I haven't seen anywhere else where they've like readily done this. Is they had at DCA before World of Color, there was there was like a bunch of trivia games you could play, and whenever or whoever won the rounds of the trivia games, they got control of the lighting on Mickey's Fun Wheel for a couple of minutes.
Yeah, they're doing that for the current show where you can vote for whatever character from Inside Out you want to be featured in the show. Yeah.
Yeah, but before it was like actually like you were controlling the lights. That's
pretty cool.
You were actively flipping through the lighting and all that. Taking something like that and like as you're waiting in line saying like, giving a QR code and going, hey, go on your phone, design the car on your phone while you're waiting in line, and then have that get uploaded to
that would be cool.
It. I think that would be a great way to implement that without keeping all the kiosks and the extra work.
That's like the 3.0 version of it, right? Everybody's got a smartphone in their hand. Everybody's got the app in their hand. Make it a thing you can do in your phone, and then your phone. I mean, your app is already hooked up to your Magic Band, right? So like,
it could just be inside of Play Disney, and as simple as that, right?
That's actually a really cool idea. That'd be cool if they did that. I doubt they will, but it would be cool if they did. The other part of that I thought of this that was very cool. First of all, I said this to you when you and I were chatting about this. This feels very. Disney has been making a concerted effort over the past couple of years to take Epcot back to kind of like its roots, to go back to like the edutainment, like the like what Epcot was when it opened, where it was like this really, excited, like, thing about the future, and everything was about education, about technology and the future and all that. And the last iteration of Test Track did not feel that way, right? It felt like a promotion for Tron. That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
This feels like old Epcot again, and I feel like they did that with the Moana thing. They did it with this, and I mean, I just feel like they're really trying to refocus Epcot back to where it was at, because the new Test Track feels so much more like focused on technology and the future and innovation. I mean, the part that really got me though, Trevor, that was like really felt like Epcot was the narrator, the guy that was doing that guy felt so Epcot-y to me.
I felt like it was an extension of Spaceship Earth.
Yeah.
Like when you when you're at the end and you're doing the Your Future thing with the video. That's what he reminded me of. Was it hi, I'm Bob, and you're gonna learn something today. Like
and like just the way, like this cadence and the way he talked, and like even the music playing into it, like the music was so chill. It wasn't like I don't even remember what the music was for the last Test Track iteration, but it was just very like good. Yeah, it was like relaxed. You know what I mean? Like I'm saying, this music is like relaxed, and it's very the futuristic feeling to it.
No, I was taking a dig at 2.0 that it wasn't even memorable.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was so not memorable. But like it just felt, if like you said, it felt like Spaceship Earth. It felt like, what it also felt like to me, Trevor, actually, it reminded me of the People Mover. Like it reminded me of the narrator from the People Mover. Like, and that was kind of the vibe I got from it. So even though it's like a fast, like, intense ride, it's still like, It almost like, especially from the music, they just like made it more chill. I don't even know how to describe it, but that's what they did.
And you know what the good thing about that is that like you said, the fact that they're leaning back into that, those things, People Mover, Spaceship Earth, classic Epcot, they're already established as timeless things.
They are.
They're already past the point of, this, because some rides get to a point where it's like, this looks dated or whatever. A lot of those things have surpassed that, even though they are old and they technically are dated. They've hit that level of timeless. I feel like this current iteration of Test Track can hit that place of being like, oh, this is just timeless. This is just here, and it doesn't matter. Like it's presenting everything in such a way that it's not or they're not.
It's not going to date itself quickly.
Yeah, but they're talking about the future and everything. But everything that they showed in it, it's like, this is still relevant. It's still like in 10, 20 years, it's still going to be relevant and still kind of that like edutainment kind of thing, without it being like overly obnoxious about futurism. Right? Like it definitely has some futurism to it, but I feel they did it in the right way this time.
Yeah, like in that lead scene where that we talked about with the LiDAR thing, like that part was super educational, right? Because literally you have two narrators on the car. You have the guy that's kind of bringing you through the ride, but also you have like the car itself is talking to you. And the car was like, well, let me show you what I see. And then you go to all the dots and stuff. And it's like, oh, okay, that's really cool. Now, I would say that most people probably do not know that. That's how the car sees it. So like, it's a cool educational thing, but we haven't even gotten to I think the best part of the new ride yet, which is the end.
Yes.
I mean, the famous break through the wall, go outside scene. I mean, I don't know what I was expecting here, but this is very cool.
I thought it was the right way to handle it. Is that again, them utilizing technology and things that they already had on hand. They gave, it's really just projection on screens, but they did it in such a way that it definitely gave that like wow factor, because that was the whole thing about the last room, is that the last room, like the initial thing about it was that wow, but it was like that scary, I'm
going to hit the wall thing.
We're going to run into a wall. The second iteration of it was, they were like, we're going to do a speed test. So you were kind of like, okay, yeah, we're going to go fast.
Yeah.
But this gave the, that impression of like, again, leaning into the futurism and being like, hey, sky's the limit. And so you get a minute of like that, and then you're off, on the track going full speed.
Yeah. So like, we should probably describe what it is. So you make that last turn, and that last turn right before you get there, there's like in a glass case. I think it's like a flying car, right? I think is what they have as a prototype flying car there, I believe. Yeah. And then when you turn the corner, they've built like a tunnel, right? So like this is like that tunnel that they have there. I looked at the other iterations of it, and that was not there. So that's newer. But they also just basically built an entire like movie dome, right? So there's a big screen that basically surrounds you in there, and it's showing scenes of like a future city with like flying cars, and
it kind of looks like Xandar from Guardians of the Galaxy.
It kind of does, right? Yeah. Yeah. And then they, like you said, they like you speed into the future or whatever, and then that's when you take off and break through the wall and go outside. But man, I think they did a great job with this. I mean, there's only so many things you're going to do with the test track, right? It's not. I mean. Without like,
redoing, like you're right, without completely gutting and redoing the whole ride, you can only do so much with an overlay, right?
Well, I also saw somebody say like, "Oh, so no animatronics." I'm like, "What animatronics would you have?" Just like a dude standing there, like
animatronic car. Well, that's just a car. I mean,
that's just a radiator. What's the racer thing? Yeah.
Radiator Springs Racers. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess technically they do have animatronic cars in Radiator Springs Racers, but it would not have worked here. Like it would have been, it would have been weird.
Yeah. Listen, overall, I think they did a great job with this. I'm excited to ride it myself. It's definitely. I said to my wife that it's not just pitch black anymore. Like they put things there. Like there's something everywhere, and you're going into full size buildings at certain points. Like you're going through, trees at one point. Like it feels different, in a good way. So yeah, I'm happy with this. I'm happy with what they did.
Yeah, and so I did check. So for the first scene. Version 1.0, there was glass there, but it was blurred, so you couldn't see out into the into where the queue was or anything. But there was glass there, but they had it. It's not even like frosted. Like they did something. It's distorted, so you can't see anything. So now it's just wide open. Which again, I keep talking about this as ways to increase the feeling of wow and kinetic energy and all that. Like when you're standing in the queue and you see people like going by in the cars, like that's going to get people hyped up for the ride that you're getting on, right? Like it's always, when you actually kind of, you don't have to see like the whole ride, but when you see like, vehicles going by and stuff, it does pique people's interest, and it makes people like, oh, like what's going on there? Is that what we're doing? Like, for people that have not ridden, something like Test Track. I know for us, like, Test Track has been around for for an incredibly long time at this point. But
it has, yeah.
But it's, you know, for anybody coming in new to it, it does give that sense of, oh, something cool is about to happen.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that, you know, somebody made that decision. I know it's such a silly thing, like, because like, and again, looking at it's cool that we can actually compare like different iterations of the ride now.
Oh yeah.
I'm glad that we've gotten to do this, because it does show you how things have evolved from, you know, an Imagineering standpoint, and at certain points, like how they honestly make mistakes. Like,
sure.
you know, 1.0, it's like, hey, you know, the glass was there, but it was blurred, but you could still, like, through both sides, you could see movement. You could see like that there was something going on. In the second version, it was just a wall. Like they just cut it off completely. Yeah. And then now they've opened it back up again. And it's like, hey, that was the smart thing to do. You know, I'm glad somebody paid attention to that.
Well, also just too, if you've seen pictures of what the new entrance looks like too, like they got rid of all that scaffolding and like all like that whole thing they had in the front that was covering basically the entire original entrance. That's all gone. It's all open
Thankfully,
now. Yeah. It really so does. It really looks like the original ride, Worlds of Motion, which is by the way, if you don't know World of Motion, is an extraordinarily different ride than Test Track. It was not a thrill ride. It was an Omni Mover ride, very slow, you know, not what Test Track is now, but it does harken back to those days where you don't have, you know, all that stuff in front. It's much cleaner look, you know?
Yeah.
So anyway, I feel like we talked about that enough, but did you have any other thoughts before we do our ad here and then move on to other things?
I think we covered off everything, but again, yes, I'm sorry if people are annoyed that we're spending a bunch of time focusing on this ride. One, deal with it. It's our podcast. And two,
you think people are going to be annoyed by this? I think people are.
I don't know. I mean, some people, you know, they want us to talk about what they want to talk about, and that's fine. But I feel this is worth talking about because it is an interesting evolution of the park.
It is.
And it's something that, you know, we don't always get to see this stuff happen live, or you kind of take it for granted, or you forget how much things change. I think Test Track is a good example of how things can change for the better and for the worse. Like, you know, it starts off good. It's not quite as good, but then it got better again. Right. Like I think it's a good thing to talk about these kinds of changes.
Took them a long time, but they did it.
Yeah.
So, well, listen, you know, the other thing, and I don't want to like go on a whole thing about this because we're really going along on this, but you know, Disney, whenever they have these rides, and Test Track is a big part of this, they're a little beholden to the sponsor too, right? Like, so, you know, because of the way that Disney does these things and because they have sponsors for these rides, it's, you know, the sponsor has a say in these things, you know, and you know, it's possible that GM just didn't want to fund refurb for this, you know, for a long time, right? And Disney didn't want to fork out the money to do it either. So, you know, we just ended up with that, you know, version of it. And listen, it was still a popular ride, right? Because a lot of people are probably not even going for the theme, and they're going for the thrill of, you know, going 65 miles per hour outside on the track, right? But
Cargo Zoom.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Cargo Zoom, it's fun, right? Cool. Oh, by the way, the truck is still there too. You know, truck didn't go away. They kept the truck. We all knew that they would. They can't get rid of the truck. It's always going to be there. But yeah, so that's also part of this too. All right, let's do the ad, Trevor.
This week, our show is brought to you by DVC Rental Store, which is a World of DVC company that offers magical vacations at incredible value. Save up to 60% off retail rates at premium Disney resorts. DVC Rental Store now includes deposits as low as 25% at the time of booking and a built-in cancellation policy for every reservation. As always, DVC Rental Store pays out the most to members looking to rent their points. Want to learn more? Go to dvcrentalstore.com/welcome home or call 1-855-DVC-RENT. That's 382-7368. And when you speak to them, be sure to let them know that Welcome Home sent you.
All right. So, first of all, I wanted to say this at the front of the episode, but I forgot, so I'm going to say it now. Trevor and I did a food time, so there's a food time that will be coming out on what's the date? 7/2. Yeah, 7/2. So on July 2nd, there will be a food time that's out. You can watch that or listen to it. Up to you. We have a video of it. Of course, that's going to be up on YouTube. You can actually watch the video on Spotify too. So if you want to watch video podcasts on Spotify, you can watch right through the app. You can watch.
I didn't know that was a thing, but I guess that makes sense because Spotify does do podcasts. So,
they do. Yeah, they have video podcasts on there now. So you can watch the YouTube. You can watch through. I actually think you can watch on Apple too. But or you can listen to the audio version. But that will be out July 2nd. So keep an eye out for that. We covered the Disney Springs Flavors of Florida kind of festival.
Yeah. It's not an official festival, but there was enough there for it to be
it's an experience.
Yeah.
No, I mean, there was a ton there, honestly. We talked for a long time. There was a lot of food there, and
way more than we thought, actually.
Way more than we thought. Yeah, we did not think it was going to be as long of an episode as it was, but as my wife likes to say, you always say it's going to be short, and it never is. So
my wife too.
Yeah.
They know.
Yeah. They know the deal. I said to her today, Trevor, I'm like, this should be a pretty short episode, and she's like, okay, sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anyway, so Disney has announced some updates to their apps for dining reservations. Now, they've been making a lot of updates to dining reservations, but they made even more, right? And there's one on here that they mentioned. So you can use an advanced availability calendar to view all available reservations for a single location. So essentially, yeah, and also view all available reservations at all locations across the date range. So basically, you could say, I'm going to be here from X date to X date, and it will show you all available reservations available during that week, which is
in hindsight being 2020.
Yeah.
It's in my head, I'm like, well, yeah, of course they should show you that.
Yeah, of course they should. Yeah.
I get why they didn't. It's it was a complicated thing to do, but this is a very big improvement to the dining reservations. And so this piece alone, being able to view all available reservations across all locations. The thing about that is that, or I don't know about you, Tom, but when I do my planning for Disney, I asked the question of the family, like, okay, where do we want to eat? Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's and so we kind of get a short list of we want to go to A, B, C, right? We'll get 3 or 4 restaurants, and then I start hunting reservations based on that. But the flip side of this is that, if I'm not picky about where I stay, or not where I stay, but where I'm eating, or if it's like, hey, I'm looking for something different, being able to see that, this place has reservations the day that I'm there, and I'm usually not going there. Like that, this is actually, I feel like Disney is trying to better fill all the gaps that they do have in dining reservations that I think people don't realize. If that
it's
makes
always
sense.
been a challenge for them.
Yeah.
I mean, just generally, dining reservations have always been a difficult thing to nail down.
Yeah, because plans change too. Like
it's hard,
it's very hard to do dining reservations. But the fact that they've updated the app with the functionality of this is looking way better. I feel like they are listening to things that people have said over time about it used to be very hard to nail down a reservation unless you were laser focused on getting this one reservation, right? Yeah.
They also too have they have improved they're saying improved sorting and filtering. So for the people that don't plan ahead, if you're just walking around and you're hungry, you can very easily now just it'll pull up and say you can join the wait list now for it'll say how long the wait list. Yeah.
You're not joining the wait list. We have the
Sorry.
wait list. They don't get the wait list.
Walk up list. My bad. But yeah, it literally says so the example they have here is Blue Bayou, and it says hungry now, approximately 20-minute wait time, join the walk up list. So instead of doing a reservation, you can just do the walk up list and just do it right there.
I could go for Blue Bayou in 20 minutes.
The other thing they mentioned too that's a new feature too is that they actually have a media gallery now for each restaurant for the menu. So they have pictures of the dishes now, which I feel like is a thing they've needed for a long time now.
Wait, I guess in quick service, I guess, yeah, you're right. Because in the quick service menus, you do you can see everything that they have to order in the quick service.
It just doesn't have pictures,
but
yeah.
Well, no, there was little you got pictures, but it wasn't like it was. If it was a bag or a box of, chicken nuggets or whatever, you just saw chicken nuggets and a drink next to it. But yeah, now that I think about it, yeah, you're right. For sit downs, they never displayed the menu, but beyond list, beside you could read what everything was, but you never saw what it actually looked like. Huh.
It also says here too that that's Disney World only though, by the way. So
yeah. Okay.
No soup for you, Disneyland. Sorry.
I mean, again, there's not nearly the amount of places that I'm doing sit downs at Disneyland. Anyway,
That's fair.
I mean, honestly, outside of Blue Bayou, and I think it's just Blue Bayou that I've done sit downs at.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm trying to think if there was. Oh no, sorry, that's not true. We've done Carnation Cafe as well. So yeah, okay.
Well, listen, I think these are great improvements. I'm a big plan ahead person, so the ability to do that is really helpful, and I love that idea because that can really help kind of shape your itinerary.
Yeah, and also the fact that they're making it very easy, like they're giving you all the options. They're saying like, hey, you can come, or you can come join, or book a time, if you're going to be in this park at this time, or the walk up list thing, I think is like that's a huge thing, because I remember years ago it was like trying to even get a walk up seemed incredibly difficult. And
the fact that 100%.
The fact that they're putting it in the app means that, again, they've acknowledged that people want to do this, and instead of making it a whole process, which it's also nicer on the cast members too, right? Because this takes it out of their hands, which I know too. Like I felt bad for cast members that like we would always try and not make it difficult for them, but you could see where they were like, there's people coming for reservations, but then also there's people that are doing walk up, and then there's, somebody's like, I've been sitting here for 20 minutes. When is my table ready? Like, so, it's just one less thing for them to worry about, because it's all handled in the app.
Well, right? They've had the walk up thing for a while, right? Like on the app, but now it's just like easier. Like they've made it pop up in an easier place. So like you don't have to go searching for it,
And that's what I would say was one of the big things that I like. Even on my last trip there, we were comparing Universal and Disney's apps, and Universal's app is not great. They have a lot of work to do to get up. Or sorry, I shouldn't say that they're not great. The mobile ordering was fantastic, but the rest of it was like not at the same level as Disney. But little things like this is like you said, trying to dig for, how do I get on the, even knowing that there is a such thing as the walk up list is like, they should be advertising that.
They should. Yeah, they should.
Yeah.
So I want to talk, Trevor, about, let's move on from the app. I want to talk about, first of all, so it was Disney, created a new holiday. I think it's probably been for a while now, which was 626 Day, right? Which is, Stitch. Yes. It's all about Stitch, right? And to celebrate 626 Day, they announced that Lilo and Stitch live action 2 is in development, which means nothing really, right? That just means that they're like, want to make another one. Like it doesn't, they still have to, like, there's like no script, there's no, I mean, here's the thing though, and it's easy to forget this. There was like a ton of Lilo and Stitch stuff after the original movie, right? There were like the direct to video sequels, there was a TV series, there was a ton of stuff. But so who knows what they're going to do here? Maybe they're going to do an original story. Maybe they're going to do one of those things in live action. I don't know.
Yeah, but it's very easy to do an amalgamation of stuff from the TV series and all that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I have to laugh, by the way, because I don't know if you've watched the video, Trevor, but so for those that haven't seen this, it's hilarious. For the red carpet and everything, they made an animatronic Stitch.
Yep.
And put it in the pink like electric truck, the kids truck that they had in the movie.
Truck,
the kids Barbie truck they had in the movie, and the Stitch moves its head and talks and makes sounds and everything. And they used that for like interviews, and they used it for the red carpet and stuff. But they also used it here to make this announcement. And it's hilarious. I love the fact that they did this, that they made a animatronic Stitch that drives around a car. Like, it's hilarious. I want to see this in the parks. Drive this around the parks.
I was going to say, I feel like this is something you could end up seeing in the parks.
The problem is, though, you have tall, Stitch that you can meet, right? Like, this is a real size Stitch. Like, how do you do those two things, right?
Well, they're just not in the same place at the same time,
I guess. Yeah. But I just feel like that's a hard, kind of issue for them, because you have the actual.
They've already done the Stitch meet and greet, so doing the little Stitch might be a little bit harder. That is fair.
Which, by the way, my sister's been in Alani. I talked to you about this, right? So she's been in Alani, and she told me that they have not been able to find Stitch anywhere, and I'm like, that is shocking. I was like, how have you not found Stitch? They did a meet and greet with Angel, who is Experiment 624, which is is Stitch's love interest, and I forget which one it was in, but it was
or the third one.
It's the second or the third one, right? But they found her, but no Stitch. And I'm like, how is Stitch not just everywhere all the time at Alani? Like,
that's I mean,
nuts to me.
That's weird that they wouldn't lean into Stitch at Alani of all places.
I know. I thought it was odd too. I think it's just my sister though. She doesn't know Disney stuff, and
why do I feel like it might be one of those things where she's like standing in the lobby going, "Yeah, I don't see any Stitch stuff," and like the camera pans by and there's like a whole gift shop.
That
in the corner, and she's like, she's got like her back to the.
That's 100% my sister, so it's certainly possible. Because like when she was saying that, I'm like, that doesn't seem right. Like, that doesn't seem correct to me. Like, Stitch has to be around. Like, there's no way Stitch is not around. So, but yeah. So listen, there's another one coming out. And Trevor, you because it's not out on streaming yet, so you still haven't seen the new one because it's still in theaters. So, and I know you don't do really theaters anymore.
Yeah, I mean, we are waiting for it on Disney Plus because I don't really want to pay more money for something that I'm already paying money for. So
I get it. I will say I keep getting I keep seeing the director out there trying to defend the ending, and it's funny though because Trevor, remember when we talked about this, you asked me afterwards about the ending, right? Because what's being put out there on the internet is from people that didn't actually see the movie. I think
yes, or they got. You cleared up for me. I understand what the ending is now, and I feel like there's a lot of people that either heard from somebody else or got so far into it and stopped paying attention,
or just want to attack anything. I mean, they just want to be like, oh, this is awful. And I mean, he actually explained it even more. And I don't want to ruin the ending, but a lot of the ending is very much based on Hawaiian culture, right? In how Hawaiians treat each other as family, even if you're not related, right? And the director talked about it quite a bit, and he said, listen, he's like, my co-writer is Hawaiian, and he really wanted to put this in here. And I think it's just people just not understanding that, people just don't understand that this is, it's not what you think it is. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like the people that have been complaining about it have either not seen it or just, want to criticize it,
that it's actually funny you bring that up because so I equate it to the phrase blood is thicker than water.
Of course. Yeah.
You think what that means, right?
I think so. Yeah.
What do you think it means?
I think it means that your family is
your family is more important than
anybody else, right? Family bonds mean more than any other relationship, right?
So the funny thing is that it actually that saying means the opposite of what you think it means.
Really?
Because the actual saying is it's the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb.
Interesting.
Which translates to the connections you make with people and those you have connection with is far more important than where you were born, how, any of the circumstantial stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
So it actually means the opposite of what a lot of people think it means, which is funny because this actually does play into the same issue people are having with Lilo and Stitch, is that they're misunderstanding that yes, blood is thicker than water, but blood means, your connection with other people, not.
And that's what he talks about. And I saw a recent interview with this director, and he said, listen, there's a name for it. It's a Hawaiian concept of we're all family, everybody is family. And, even if you're my neighbor, it's like you're my family member. So it's, I know that was a major tangent, but the reason I was going to talk about it, there's some new Stitch merch for 626 Day. Although I feel like I've seen a couple of these things already. I don't know if they're just talking about new things again. But
I could have sworn we went over some of this because but I feel like they've been doing like bursts of
merch. All I can tell you is I hope my daughter doesn't see if I take her grocery shopping, she doesn't see these Stitch fruit snacks, because she's going to make me buy them like immediately. I just know my daughter.
Which fruit snacks are you talking about?
There's Stitch fruit snacks on the page.
Okay, why isn't it's not letting me
next to the water bottle? Yeah.
And well, no, okay, I'm those okay. Sorry,
yeah,
I was
Stitch fruit snacks.
I was looking further down at the I was like,
the dog treats.
You're not talking about the dog treats.
No. I am not talking about the dog treats. No, it's funny that they have dog treats and toys, though, right?
yeah. The dog treats are hilarious. I love that. Like that's such a weird. It's a weird thing to throw in, but also like kind of makes sense because Stitch is the dog, or he's treated like Lilo's dog, so. Why would they not do dog treats?
Agreed.
Yeah.
In other merch news, though, and we're going to wrap up with this.
Yeah.
I put this on here for you, Trevor.
For me?
Yeah, for you.
Yeah. Because I know think I'm into kawaii chibi stuff?
No, I know you're into Asian culture stuff, though. So
that's fair. Yeah.
So Disney Store, Japan, and China merchandise are coming to DisneyStore.com. Which here's the reason I bring this up. I think it's interesting because we've talked about this so many times about how the Asian parks get a lot of really cool stuff that never comes to the States, and now it seems like they're
trying.
They're crossing that line a little bit, right? I've actually never seen these, but these are adorable. And I'm telling you right now, if my daughter sees one, she's going to want all of them. They're like little stuffed animals.
Yeah. They're called, or sorry, the Stitch and Angel ones are called Urupocha-chan.
Okay.
Which, it's, or I guess, that's the whole series of them.
That's the whole series,
They're these little like super, like pom-pom fluff ball, plushies, which like you said, they're adorable, and something that like I think when my son was younger, we would have been hunting for one of these Stitch ones for sure. Because they're super cute.
They are. They're very cute. And I actually, apparently they've been integrating a lot of this stuff from Japan and China before. I had not seen this, but they have been adding plushes and stuff, for a while now, I guess, since the beginning of the year, which I don't remember us talking about this. I don't think we had.
No, but I don't remember ever talking about this stuff, but also some of the bags that they have that they're showing here are pretty interesting.
Pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah. Interesting or cool.
Well, the Donald Duck butt one is weird, and I like it. Like it's weird, but I like it.
And I'm liking the Stitch bucket hat. I'm not a bucket hat guy, but this Stitch bucket hat's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's true. It is cool. And same thing. There's like, that looks like a Stitch bag where he's like hanging off the side of you kind of thing. Like it looks like a plushie. So
yeah, that's pretty cool too. And they also have one of those little shoulder guys too. Which I think I told you I bought my daughter one of those shoulder pet things when we were on the cruise ship, and I'm almost positive we've already lost the magnet for it. Like I probably put it somewhere. I just don't know where. Like she brought it to school too at one point, and I'm like, oh boy, this thing's gonna we're gonna lose that. So she might have lost it there. But yeah, look, there's some cool stuff here. I just wish they would do more of like the crazy food stuff. But I also feel like we're in the minority on that. Maybe if they did some of the crazy food stuff, that people would be turned off by it. I don't know.
No, okay, Universal's done the crazy food stuff. There's no excuse why Disney can't do the crazy food stuff.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair. But like I said, I just put it on here because I thought it was kind of interesting. But
no, I appreciate that, and yeah, it's cool. Like I get what you're saying about that. A lot of these things are things I've seen from the Asian parks, and it's good that they're finally acknowledging that. Hey, this stuff sells well in Asia, but you can also bring it over, and it doesn't have to be everywhere, but give people a mix of both. Like give people the ability to go and pick. Like there's a Donald Duck bag here. It's not over the top or anything, but you don't see Donald Duck merch like that.
Yeah. So, well, Donald Duck is a lot bigger in the Asian parks too. I mean, Donald Duck is basically Mickey over there. So
which is just wild, but
it is wild. It is wild to think about. But yeah, there's actually a whole international section on the Disney Store now. So,
oh great.
Oh man, I feel like I need to buy some of these little things for my daughter. I feel like she will like them, although they're a little pricier than you'd expect considering how small they are. But
yeah, that's one thing about some of these. Like, even though like the keychain ones that they've got these keychain plushies is they're not cheap. Like,
no.
you really can't collect them all unless you have a good bankroll.
Get that Disney money. So yeah, why don't we wrap up, and Trevor, unless there's anything else you want to talk about?
No, I think that was a good selection of stuff today. I think we covered a lot of interesting ground there.
I think my main takeaway is I'm looking forward to Test Track. I think Test Track's going to be cool. So yeah,
it's going to just further improve what's already become a very good Epcot. Like Epcot was in a bad place for a while there, and it's come out of it, and it's definitely getting better. It's all
now we just need that a new Figment and a Spaceship Earth overhaul. Those are the two main things I think we need now.
No, we also need there was the Pixar Play area that never happened. There's that whole
remember that
over there.
Yeah, we need them to do something with Wonders of Life. It's funny that you bring that up, actually, because I was going down a YouTube rabbit hole after I watched the Test Track video, and then I was like, oh man, because I'll tell you what happened really quickly here, because I do want to wrap up. I was watching the 3 video one that I was talking about that had 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, right? And I was just remarking about how a lot of the background from 1.0 is pretty much the same, but there's also some different things. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I saw in the distance in one of the videos, I saw Wonders of Life, and I said to my wife, I was like, man, I really wish they would do something with Wonders of Life. And then I went to, man, you remember Body Wars? Like, I was like, I want to watch a video of Body Wars, right? Yeah. And then I'm like, okay, let's pull up the video of Body Wars, and sure enough, of course, there's a couple videos out there, Body Wars. And so I started watching that, and my daughter's like, she looks at me and she goes, "What is this?" And I was like, "It's a ride." And she goes, "Are you like moving?" Because the camera was stationary, so it didn't look like you were actually moving, And I was like, yeah, it's like, it's like it's a ride. It's not around anymore.
Like Star Tours, I guess.
Yeah. Well, which I have not taken her on yet. So, because I think,
okay, so she did. Okay.
Well, we're going to try it probably one of these days soon here. But yeah, I remember so much of that ride it's crazy, but I forgot how many, like, there's a fair amount of actors that are in the ride and the pre-show of that are well-known actors. I was watching them and I was like, at the time they probably weren't, but here they were. But anyway, so
yeah, I don't have any history with Body Wars, so yeah, I'll have to go look at it.
You never did Body Wars? Oh, because you didn't start going till after that was gone, right?
Yeah, it was already closed by the time we went.
Yeah,
unfortunately,
that makes sense. Okay,
sorry, I know we want to wrap up here, but just one more aside about Epcot. Okay,
no, go ahead.
So I'm sure for anyone who's watched the Disney Parks channel stuff, because they've been putting out, like, they have like a monorail loop video and stuff like that. Surprisingly, I'm actually, I have to go back. I'm 99% sure it was the Disney Parks channel, because we had the monorail loop on and then it flipped to it. And I think it was just like YouTube was just going through like the next video from that channel. They have it's like a nighttime video of the Moana Journey of Water.
Yeah,
area.
I've watched that before, actually. Yeah,
you've seen that? So I didn't see it. I haven't seen it until like this weekend. I was like, wow, this is really cool. Yeah. And it's actually the best case scenario, because you get to go and like actually see all the details of Journey of Water without all the people around.
Yeah.
Because Journey of Water is usually very chaotic. So.
Well, it's funny, when I first saw the monorail ambiance one, that I said to my wife, I was like, how did somebody film this? Because I didn't realize Disney had done it themselves. Like, I thought it was just some person set up like a camera and was going around the monorail for like, because it's a really long video and you don't see any people. And that's what I said to my wife. I was like, wait, but how did they get this footage? And then you realize it was from Disney. It's like, oh, this was probably like 3:00 in the morning. You know what I mean? Well, not 3:00. So the sub was 3 a.m., so it's probably like 5 a.m.
Yeah,
right?
it was early. And actually, I believe so. Okay, I'm going to ruin the magic a little bit for you, but here we go. One, I'm pretty sure it's pretty close to rope drop, because if you look at when you go by, or when it goes by Spaceship Earth, there are people lined up. It looks like it looks like it's like an early crowd kind of thing. So it's early in the morning. The second thing is, you said it's a very long video. It actually only does one loop. And
really?
There is a very smart spot where they edited it, or they did the cut, and it just loops that one go around.
Oh,
but it was done very well. Like it took me a while to figure out where,
because I haven't watched it that closely. I've just had it on the background, and I just looked up, and I'm like, oh, there's no people there.
Yeah, and that's like, I was like the same thing at first. I was like, okay, that like they got a really early time on this, but then I was like, wait a minute. And we started watching it, and I was like, okay, there is a cut in here, and so they did loop it, but how they did it's so subtle. Like it's very well done, and I'm not going to spoil that for you, but anybody who wants to go and figure it out, Disney did do, like, I mean, it's Disney, right?
It's a 4-hour video. I mean, it's long.
It's actually about, like, how long does it take to do a monorail loop? Like 20 minutes, I think.
Yeah, probably something like that. Yeah.
So yeah, it's only actually 20 minutes, but they looped it very well.
That's pretty funny, actually. Like I said, I didn't watch the whole thing, so I assumed that it was different. But okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's wrap it up.
Anyway, yeah, let's wrap it up here. So, as usual for us, we're not looping these, so I'm going to do this live every time. So you can tell that this is not a loop of our wrap up. So you can always reach us at welcomehomepodcast@gmail.com if you have any questions for us, or want to share your own trip reports, stuff like that. We love it. Keep it coming. Again, shout out to Claire for sending us that email at the beginning of the episode. Love that kind of stuff.
We do.
Similarly, you can find us on Facebook as Welcome Home Podcast. You can find us on YouTube as Welcome Home Podcast, and Instagram as Welcome Home Pics. Make sure on Facebook you check out our group as well, Welcome Home Disney Waitlist, where we talk about all kinds of stuff from the show. You get all the great memes that people make about the show. We love the stuff you guys do. After we write an episode and we put it out there, I never know what people are going to fixate on for memes. It's always fun to see what we get every week. So keep that coming. And so you can always come and join our group if you're looking for some cool Disney people to hang out with. If you want to support the show, you can go to store.welcomehomepodcast.com and check out all of our different merch there. It's all the usual stuff. You can get all the t-shirts and mugs and all that kind of stuff. And like I said, it just helps us keep the show running. Similarly, we also have a Patreon. So you can go to patreon.com/welcomehomepod and check out our different levels of Patreon support, which have exclusive merch that you can only get from Patreon. And our Patreon listeners also get access to the Discord server, which is yet another place that we talk about stuff from the show and just general Disney conversations. And we also publish things early there, like Food Time. So, if you want to get, in early on some of the stuff that we're kind of doing here outside of the regular episodes, and also behind the scenes stuff too. We do talk about, stuff from the shows that maybe went sideways that doesn't always make it to the final. We don't heavily edit the show, but sometimes like things happen and, we talk about that kind of stuff on Discord. So if you want to see a little bit of that, consider joining our Patreon. Last but not least, if you're listening on iTunes or Spotify or anywhere where you can leave us a 5-star review, please do so. It's just another way that helps the show get out there and be more visible to people. And, it also lets us know that you like the show. And, you can also write us a review on iTunes and let us know what you do think about the show, which we also love hearing that as well.
Yeah, as long as they're nice reviews, like be nice to us. Like,
okay, you don't have to be nice.
No,
but you do. you can give us criticism, but make sure you do it in a polite way. I would much rather people be polite. Yeah, give us the 5 stars still, but just be polite. You don't have to be mean about it. Just you can
still get your point across with 5 stars and mean comments. Like, you know what I mean? Like just give me the 5 stars. That's all I care about is the stars.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And also,
Tom's like Mr. Krabs with those stars.
Yeah, exactly. Don't forget to subscribe to Welcome Home Podcast so you can be reminded every time we release a new episode. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube Music. Wow, that was really fast. I've read this so many times, I just can do it really fast. Just about any podcast app out there, you can find us. Like I mentioned, if you want Food Time on video, YouTube, Spotify, any place you can find video podcasts, you'll find video Food Time or just audio. It's up to you. Just a reminder to our listeners, Welcome Home Podcast is for entertainment only. We are not employed by the Walt Disney Company. And as such, all opinions expressed on the show are our own. So please consult a DVC representative or Disney cast member for more information about anything we talked about today. Huge thank you to our sponsor, DVC Rental Store, for sponsoring this episode. Please check them out for your rental needs, whether you want to rent out your points or rent points. Go to them. They're awesome. Join us next time for more Disney Parks discussion. Of course, more DVC talk. We hope to see you all real soon.
This is Skipper Albert Awol, the voice of the jungle, signing off from Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
Do a huddle when we hit a chair. How she can cuddle is no man's affair. I looked around from pole to pole, found her in a sugar bowl, eating